At the start of the movie, a family is shown which includes a man, Andy, his wife, and daughter, who are living in the boathouse safely after the attacks of the zombies. One day, Andy is sailing houseboat. He notices two playing children at the bank of a stream. Andy waves his hand seeing them and is also pleased. But those kids' father dislikes it, and he shows his gun to Andy, taking it out. Observing it, Andy goes inside. Andy and his wife are talking with each other at night. Now 3 times food was left in the boat for them. As a result, his wife suggests to move into a town, leaving this boat, so they may arrange the meal. That town was 30 to 40 kilometers far from there, but Andy forbids his wife because he did not want to face any danger. Obviously, it was risky to step on the land, so he wanted to stay in his boat. Waking up on the next day, Andy notices a broken sailboat. He moves there in search of meal and the essential commodities. He hears some sounds from the boat when he is searching for meal. Taking a few things, Andy comes back to his boat. Fortunately, Andy had searched the meal for 3 months. They both were excited on it. His wife says to him, "Have some rest," and she leaves to take more things from that sailboat. A zombie attacks her unfortunately. Andy is showing his affections towards his little daughter after awakening. He discovers the blood stains on the boat deck. It was the indication that his wife had been bitten by the zombie. It means that his wife will be transformed into a zombie after 48 hours. But it was hard to believe for Andy, so he is disturbed. He was still thinking it that his wife may be recovered. So he comes on the land with his wife and daughter, leaving the boat, so he may take his wife into the hospital. Walking at a distance, Andy observes a car. A zombie arrives there when Andy is putting fuel in the car. Catching its sight quickly, Andy drives off the car. After a time, his wife gets off the car as the car stops, so she may change the nappy of her little daughter. But she falls on the floor facing the worst condition of her. Coming into senses, she says to Andy he should go, leaving her here. She begins shouting because she had a fear of her transformation into a zombie. She will infect Andy and her baby girl. Being compassionate, Andy makes his wife seated in the car and also breaks the car door handle so she may avoid to go outside. Passing a distance, a zombie comes in front of their car. Andy is frightened and crashes his car with a tree in confusion. Andy finds that his wife has already transformed into a zombie when he restores his consciousness. His wife bites him as he is going to leave the car, taking her little daughter. Consequently, Andy is also infected. After an effort, he takes her little daughter outside the car and starts weeping, but he had to maintain his courage for his little daughter. He encourages himself and wears his wife's stopwatch after taking it off, so he may set stopwatch timer of 48 hours, and the time of his transformation into zombie is started now. He starts to walk on foot, taking her little daughter. While passing away, he encounters the same zombie which had caused the car crash with Tree. Andy is struggling to rescue himself and his daughter from that zombie. Then a girl comes there named Thoomi. She says, "Don't harm my father. Keep away from him." She injures her hand with a small stone which causes bleeding, and her father goes after her, smelling her blood. Afterward, Andy moves to that town which was told by his wife. Andy enters that town school and meets a good-natured teacher there, and she bandages Andy's wound. She allows him to stay here at night time. Andy thinks to give the charge of his little daughter to her for safety, but that teacher had a disease of cancer and has no more time to survive. Knowing it, he changes his thoughts. On the other side, Thoomi's mother is shown who is attacking the zombie accompanying indigenous Australians, so the town may be secured, killing the zombies. She is also searching for her daughter Thoomi. Thoomi used to love her father too much and did not want to keep herself away from him even though his father's transformation into the zombie, so he had put his father safe while digging a pit into the ground. She used to take care of her father so he may not be harmed by her mother or indigenous Australians. So this was the cause. She was living alone, hiding herself from her mother. Contrarily, Andy is shown whose condition was worsening at night. He was blood vomiting and losing his senses. When he wakes up in the morning, he checks that he has left only 32 hours. Taking her daughter, Andy leaves. Walking at a distance, he observes a car there. A man makes him target, shooting his gun as he goes to that car. But that gunshot is actually for a zombie who was coming at the backside of Andy. That man says, "Help me," because that man's foot was pressed under a tank. Giving Andy the car keys, he asks him to remove this tank. Andy removes the tank while pulling, and that man brings Andy into his shelter house where he was residing with his wife. After a time, that man offers to him to come with him so that he may show his work to Andy, so he may keep himself safe from the zombies. He shows shows that he cages human beings as the fodder for zombies to lure them. Attracting zombies, he may shoot them. He collects the precious things of zombies after killing them, so he may use these things if the situation is better in coming days. Andy observes Thoomi and an old man in the cage. Andy was not feeling good, but he had also not had a second option where his daughter may be kept safe. Coming into that shelter house, he notices that his little daughter is living safely with that man's wife. Being satisfied, he begins to shoot himself to keep others secure, because he had no more time now. Then that man's wife arrives there and says to him, "Don't do as such. Your daughter will never be safe in the hand of the owner of the shelter house. He is wicked," she reveals. "He is not my spouse, even he had left my husband to be victimized by the zombies, and he has bound her from that time." Then that man approaches there while searching her. He hears both of them. He knocks Andy out while hitting the gun on his head. He imprisons him in the same cage of Thoomi. Coming into sense, he requests Thoomi, "Help me. We can together escape from here." Andy throws a rope towards Zombie, fixing a piece of meat with it. The cage door is little opened when Zombies pulls that rope, and they return to that shelter house, coming out from the cage. Then they escape, taking the little daughter and that lady. That man tries to shoot them after waking up in that shelter house, and that lady who was being said his wife is shot down and she dies there. Afterward, they both hide at a place, escaping from there. Next morning, Andy and Thoomi are conversing with each other. Andy explains to Thoomi her father can never be recovered now because he has transformed into zombie. Hearing it, Thoomi runs near a tree where she had left her father after fastening, but she comes to know that her mother has bound her father into that tree after killing him. Seeing it, Thoomi starts weeping. She begins to strike her head with the stone. Andy has no more time, so he starts to leave from there, and he had to keep his daughter at a secure place before his transformation into a zombie. He had to give the charge of her daughter to a person who could take care of her after his death. Thoomi hears the weeping sound of that little daughter after a time. Andy is senseless when she goes to check. Coming into the conscious, Andy thinks to move to that family members whom he had seen at the bank of a stream that day. Thoomi consents to direct him at the bank of the stream. Reaching there, Andy comes to know that the husband of that family has also been bitten by the zombies. That man again points the same gun. He says to him, "There are only 6 bullets which are left in this gun. He will fire 1 bullet on himself while 3 on his family." He asks Andy he can shoot himself and his daughter with left 2 bullets if he wants. Andy is left astonished and forbids him of doing so, but not agreeing. That man shoots himself and his family. In this way, all are dead. Being disturbed, Andy thinks to kill himself while picking the gun. At the same time, Thoomi reaches there. She says to Andy, "I want to return to my house. You can leave your little daughter to our indigenous Australians." She assures she will be safe there. Andy agrees because he had to settle her little daughter at a safe place. Smoke is rising from a mountain. Both begin to move there. The smoke was rising because her indigenous Australians were burning the zombies there. They notice the same owner of the shelter house while passing a train tunnel. Taking Andy's little daughter, Thoomi goes into the standing car there. The fight begins as that man searches out Andy. As a result, that man picks up the gun when it is dropped down by Andy. After this, he forcefully takes Thoomi out the car. Consequently, Thoomi gets the head injury. Restoring his conscience, Andy notices that man has his daughter in his lap. He is about to kill his little daughter, but returns Andy's daughter to him on his request. Later, Andy leaves, taking his little daughter Rosie and Thoomi. Thoomi was stumbling because of the head injury. Andy had got knowledge that he has no more time. Walking a little far, and his condition is getting worse, and he was soon going to transform into a zombie. Meanwhile, Andy catches the sight of a piece of meat. Afterward, he says to Thoomi, "Take care of my daughter," and he loves her little daughter last time. This scene is very touchy. Andy hits upon a plan seeing a piece of meat and he fixes it with the edge of a stick. On the other side, Thoomi's mother and indigenous Australians come on the scene. They observe Thoomi with the little daughter when they are leaving after killing the zombies. They both were at the backside of Andy. Thoomi had brought Andy there, directing him with the stick which had a stuck piece of meat. After their arrival, Thoomi stops the indigenous Australians when they are going to kill Andy, and she sprays there, taking out the perfume of Andy's wife so Andy may feel and recall the memories of his family. Afterward, they kill Andy. Then it is shown little girl's abdomen has a written statement which has been written by Andy. He has written, "Thank you," with white color. Then they hide Andy into that tree as they had done with Thoomi's father to prevent the infection. At last, that little girl had got a secure place and family to stay.